Welcome back to Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, and as promised, Pohai Wildcat head football coach Josh Allen joins us on Coach's Corner. And Coach, first game out of the way. It was week 0, playing a week earlier than a lot of schools, and there were some challenges to that. What are some of the challenges when you go into a week 0?
It just comes fast. 1 week in anything usually. 1 week does give you just that much extra prep time for whether football or whatever logistics around the game.
Sure.
And so, when it comes up and just after 2 weeks of week 1, we open up the season with practice. And by the end of that Wildcat Bash, you're just 2 weeks away from kickoff from that point. And so. It came real fast for us this year, but at the same time, it does. There's a positive. It takes the grind out of the August practice, which this past week would have been another scrimmage week, and players out there on a hot field, when there's not quite. I mean, scrimmages are there's something to play for, but not quite like a game, and so those practices kind of drag out. So one positive is that we just get the game week faster with week 0, and we'll get an off week. We'll get a break. On week 3 of the season, we'll get a break, and that allows some injuries or some new scheme time to get in place that we hadn't had time for. So that's a positive. But the negative is things are rushing fast. New press box. We didn't have. There's a lot of film and video and technology in football nowadays, with the coaching staff and the managers.
Sure.
And we didn't we didn't have a lot of dress rehearsal. We were just hoping things went well on Friday.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah. We'll talk more about the facilities, including the expanded space room for, especially when it comes to watching film. We'll talk about that here coming up. But first, Edmond Memorial came to town. It was the season opener at Solon Stadium. Didn't end the way us Wildcat fans wanted, and the football team and those players and coaches wanted, with a 28-7 loss against Edmond Memorial. But, Coach, that final score really not indicative of game that, after the game you were receiving a lot of compliments. The players were receiving a lot of compliments because there was a lot of exciting things happening. A few turns here and there, and that's a different ball game.
Absolutely. I mean, we're a team that is only returning four returning starters from a year ago. So needless to say, there's some question. As coaches, players, we had some question marks as far as how are these guys going to respond to a game, and so those were we had a first time quarterbacks, 2 sophomores that were going to play, and how are they going to handle things? Almost a total new defensive front 7 starting, and 3 new guys in the secondary as well. So we only had 1 returner on defense, and so there was major question marks how we were going to handle things. We had felt good about our team, felt good about the summer and all the buy-in and things like that. Had great energy with our guys, but still, when you get to the game, how are we going to perform? We kind of had a shaky scrimmage the week before, so we didn't couldn't quite gauge everything. But, listen, I mean, we got down to the 1 yard line 3 times. 2 of them were, some could say taken away, and one we just didn't punch it in. And that game's a different ball game. Momentum throughout that game at different times was way on our side. Yeah. We moved the ball up and down the field on offense. Started to probably about mid to late second quarter through the rest of the game. We were driving when we wanted to. We were driving pretty regularly. I thought our defense came up with big stop after big stop and big play.
Sure.
They made a few more big plays than we did. Give credit to them. They won the game, we didn't.
Right.
But there was still a lot of positives. They're a 6A1 school where they're 1,000 more kids in their building than we are. Not to make excuse, we could play with them, but there was a lot of compliments after the game of just how how hard our guys played, and really looking forward for the rest of the season. There's a lot of hope, as far as you guys look good on the field. You looked organized, played well, and you put just get better at a few things here or there, and what could happen during the season.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Well, instead of giving some individual player shout outs, we want to we want to give shout outs to the defensive secondary and the receiving corps. You got to be happy, and I know you're proud of all of your athletes getting out there, and surely and certainly, I want to say their preparation over the summer certainly showed Friday night against
Yeah, I mean,
Memorial.
and really to be fair, all groups did well, did decent. So I mean, from O line to D line, they all did well. But I do want to pick out two groups in particular, and that was the defensive secondary. They were being challenged. They had Evan Memorial had a big old tall. If you were there, had a big old tall, 6'3", 4" type receiver that's going to Air Force, and Lane Bristow and all those our guys really stepped up the challenge and kept their receivers and stuff from really making too many big plays. I mean they only caught really just 2 or 3 positive big plays out of the whole game. I thought our secondary, and they threw the ball a lot, so our secondary stepped up to the challenge. A couple big interceptions and a lot of pass breakups. And I just thought, they battled and competed really hard, and so I want to give them a shout out. And I thought our wideouts started off a little slow, a couple of drops in the first quarter, but really after that point, really stepped up their game and made some big plays. Drake Tapp some big catches, Dalen Hawkins some big catches. Dalton Vogel had a great game. So really shout out to those guys.
Yeah. All right. It is already time. One game down. The next game, huge game. It's a rivalry. It's Enid coming to Town Sullivan Stadium Friday night. And if you're watching this Friday, we hope to see you tonight at the stadium. And if you're watching after, of course, the Enid game's already happened. But regardless of when you're watching this, let's talk about Enid. They're a good team.
Yeah.
We all remember that first game of the year last year,
Yeah.
and how incredible that was. What does Enid bring back this year?
Well, they returned many of those guys on the team that beat us last year at their place. By the way, we kind of helped them out a year ago. It wasn't just all of them. We made some dumb mental errors, but we played. We had a great game in some areas too last year against them. But they return. They bring back some guys. They're very good with their skilled players. Their running backs, wide receivers. Their defensive backs. Not bad in that area. They're pretty talented, especially their running backs. Their running backs are real talented. We're gonna have to do a great job wrapping up, tackling, getting to the ball. Their tailback. One of their number one. Their tailback is explosive, big time player. One of the top backs in the state. And so we're going to have to do a great job running and tackling him. As far as their quarterback's also kind of a shifty guy that can run on you and is very efficient in throwing the ball. So that is, I would say, probably their scariest side of the ball is probably their offense. They can put some points on the board. They put 34 up against Guthrie last week, so anyway, we got a big challenge.
All right, that's Enid Sullivan Stadium. The very next game at Guthrie. And what a big victory it was last season.
Sure.
The Wildcats and
Sure.
beating Guthrie. And
Shut them out. Yeah.
what does Guthrie look like this year?
Well, we did see film on them because they played Enid this past week, so we got trade film and saw them, and they're talented. They're better than they were a year ago, so we'll have to be ready. Their offense is is much better than it was a year ago, so. We'll have to, be traveling to their place and such. So that'll be a big road trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And what kind of a difference does it make for your team to be going down there and being on the road as opposed to being here in Sullivan Stadium?
Well, I mean, there's some comforts that you have to, discomfort, a little bit of discomfort that you have to put up on traveling, bus ride.
Sure.
Maybe a sack food instead of a sit-down meal,
Right.
When you get to the place, it's usually at a visitor locker room that is about 3 or 4 decades old, too
Right,
old,
right.
Whatever, it's old. So
Right.
you're in there and you're just things. But listen, some guys like it. I as a player, I kind of like the bus ride.
Yeah.
Kind of focused you in. You had time to think about things. You weren't distracted.
Sure.
So there's positive and negatives. Obviously, your home crowd, home turf. the energy of the other team is going to be high because it's a home game. You got to match that. So there's some things, but at the end of the day, ball's kicked off in the same field. Good teams find a way to win wherever they're at. So that's what we need to learn to do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, let's talk facilities for the Ponca City Wildcat football team. I'll tell you what, there's a lot to talk about, from the locker room to that weight room to that press box. And where do we begin? I'd like to start with the press box, because there are some small colleges in the state that would love to have that press box we have here at Solon Stadium. It's just downright impressive.
It's impressive, man. The design, the whole, state of the. I've been using the word state of the art because it is state of the art in there. It has a room for every possible situation, from like I was home TV video, or away TV, home radio, visitor radio. The coaches' boxes are huge. It's stadium seating in there. It's got internet and Wi-Fi and all that type stuff. It's just the windows and stuff. Or man, you can just see the field so clear. As a coach calling plays from up there, it's really like you're looking down and just you can see nice and clear there. It's deep. They got food and catered stuff in there. It feels like the way it should be at at big schools. So it's really nice.
Yeah, it is, and just incredible. Now, other upgrades really give you and your coaches a lot more room. I understand the rooms where you watch film, you can actually break it up by position now. You don't have to all take turns or crowd around the same in the same room.
We break up all throughout our facility. I have pull down screens and projectors, and I like as many coaches. I know offensively we break up. Receivers, linemen. Sometimes quarterbacks will all break up and meet it with our own coach and watch the film. And I think defense usually watches it all together. It just depends. But we have a lot of stations and stuff where we could break down and watch film if we need to, with different guys. And, that's how you learn. Video is such an important tool, to teach.
Tell us about the weight room.
Oh, the weight room. Well, the new weight room's coming up. They're building it. Can't wait for it, because that'll really, to me personally, that new weight room will add wins to our athletic programs from all sports. Just from the size of the room to the new weights in it, to being able to just have proper space, get as many kids in there safely and organized, and get good workouts in.
Yeah. Now, there is a behind-the-scenes moment that we talked about a little bit before today's episode of Coach's Corner, and just interesting kind of behind-the-scenes deal. You may have noticed, maybe you didn't notice, but the Ponca City Wildcats on the field with Edmond Memorial wearing the white jerseys now. Those were not the home jerseys.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's a story behind that, and there's more to it than you might imagine. Coach Allen, do you mind sharing that with us?
Well, just our every year our seniors get we give them their Navy jerseys, and they get at the banquet they're plaqued up, and they get them their jersey with their name on it in the back. Anyway, well, I thought the jerseys were ordered, in time, and so by May 1st, I figured that wasn't the case and ordered them. There were 26 replacement jerseys for the seniors, but you think 4 months. Now we're going on, September. 4 months would be enough, but we didn't get the 26 jerseys in last week, so crossing my fingers for this week. So we get our Navy jerseys. So anyway, it was fun. I had to go through all the hoops just to get our white jerseys ready, calling the OSSA up and sending emails out to administrators at Edmond Memorial and all that and stuff. Everything was signed off. It's just cloth. Trust me, football coaches, we're pretty laid back. Whatever. And we've all experienced things like, sure, I understand. I've had that happen to me before too, or well, whatever. So then no one was angry about it, but it was cool. But it was good to see those are brand new white jerseys, a whole full set. Now, I ordered the 26 just because the seniors on the home, but it was time to order a whole new away set, and so. Which our fans don't get, if maybe you don't get to go to away games, so you got to see our new away jerseys, in which they were brand new, full of first time use, so they were nice, and it worked out. It's like the Dallas Cowboys; they wear white, at their home time.
Absolutely.
So anyway, our guys were jazzed about it.
Coach Josh Allen, head coach of the Ponca City Wildcats, and we're looking forward to the season as it progresses and continues, and we look forward to having Coach Josh Allen with us on many more episodes of Coach's Corner. Coach, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Sean. Okay.
Great first show. And until next time, this has been Coach's Corner, a production of Ponca City Public Schools. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.